Tania George here. So, we have the absolute pleasure on hanging out with, we have Mr. Brandon Lilly, who we met last week in Finland at the GPC European Championships. And again, we kind of convinced somebody to come over and see us. I'm not too sure how it happened. I think it was bullying.
It was good meeting everyone up in Finland, but you know, there were some standouts, and talking to Paul and Tanya, it was something really special about him, and the enthusiasm about the sport. So
we paid him basically.
I was coming over to do some seminars anyway, and had some time to fill and some time to kill. So I wanted to come here and see their gym, talk to them about doing a comp in Britain next year, and
which is going to be?
Yeah, Tattooed and Strong. So excited about that. Excited about getting back over here and, you know, meeting more British lifters. I've always had good experience with them every single time I've met. So it's just something that I want to continue to do, is to get myself out there and meet more and more people and compete in different places, and, you know, try to elevate the sport through my experience and shared experience with others.
Excellent stuff. Well, that wasn't even a question. I'm straight in there. This is going to be so good. So I competed a week ago today. So I usually take about 2 weeks off, to be fair. Don't come in, don't touch anything, but how can we pass up this opportunity to let you train with me?
Exactly.
Thank you.
For me, I'm right now about nine and a half weeks out from the Boss of Bosses, a 3 meet that's going to be held by Dan Green, or hosted by Dan Green out in California in August. And for me, this is kind of a transition point. More and more as I've gotten older, I realize that, again, I'm training not so much to just always be strong, but to look better, to feel better. And for me, what that means is a little hypertrophy work in the beginning, and as I get closer to the comp, I tend to get strong really, really quickly. So as the comp nears, the weights get heavier, the reps go down. But right now, this is kind of a perfect storm, if you will, for you to train post-comp and me to be training pre-comp. We're going to be doing a lot of rep work, moving very, very quickly, lighter weights, nothing too heavy, just getting a good pump, having a good time, and enjoying
Having
yourself.
some fun.
Yeah.
Welcoming you to Manchester, where we have night time. In Finland, no night time, which kind of screws you over a little bit.
I will say this about Finland. I had an amazing time, met amazing people.
Yeah.
I'm completely exhausted. I've never known this level of tired. Until I went to Finland. And it wasn't anything intentional. It was not anything purposeful. It was just getting up, going about your day, and then it's still sunlight.
Daylight.
So you go do something else, and it's still daylight. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and you're answering emails, and it's still daylight. And then the Roy Club downstairs is up until 4 a.m., and it's still daylight. So
when you come out of the dark, it's still there.
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a head fuck. So it's pretty much what we're going to do, and then maybe catch up and have a little bit more of a chat later.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How many more?
This is more of a feel.
Okay.
Starting to get a little bit of a pump. You've got to do 2 sets to my 1.
Okay.
So take a minute,
Yeah.
and we'll go 10-5-20, 10-5-20. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, you just take them off and put them on, throw me on the bench.
Alright. But the way it works,
So basically you get more rest than me, is that what you're saying?
I do get more rest because I'm a little bigger. But the other thing of it is the concept that we kind of came up with, or the idea that we came up with, is if you're weaker than me, how are you ever going to catch me doing less? So you have to do 2 sets to my 1.
Okay.
Does that make sense? So it kind of
If
works.
I ever get as strong as you, God, I'm so fucking happy. Probably single as well, but
But you know, it's one of the things, especially in a training group, we look at it as a way to not only teach a little bit of discipline and respect, but for the younger guys, it makes them work more. You know what I mean? And it shows them that hard work is the way to the path of getting your goals. You know, because typically the way it is in American gyms, let's say I'm a 500 bencher and I'm working out with a 300 bencher. Most guys will go 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, and they're done. We go bar, quarter plate, quarter plate, quarter plate. So then in between, they either make smaller jumps as I keep going, or they hit their 3 plates and then we work them back down a little bit. So for you, we're just going to go up 10-5 and I'll do a 20, and you'll do a 10-5 and I'll do a 20. And these, the purpose of this day for me is full-on explosion. So I want a full lockout, but I think about, you'll notice I'm not necessarily touching my chest. This is something I was going to talk to you about, talking about using a board. If you can create tension and power by stopping the bar off your chest, up. Stop before you get to your chest. Up. There you go. Fast. Boom, boom, boom. And you can build the stabilizers without a board, you're going to be so much ahead. Eric Spoto, Scott Mendelson, Kirill, myself, we all do it without a board. So build the board into your body. If you actually watch Kazmaier back in the day, he did the same thing. He talked about creating so much muscle tension and tightness that he couldn't touch his chest. So
what's the advantage over stopping just off your chest and stopping on?
talking about a guy with a longer arm. Now for you, I'm going to encourage you to touch your chest normally, just for the purpose of the day to get a little bit of a feel. But if you have a little bit of a longer arm, most guys they'll have the power here because their shoulders kind of recess. So what we're going to do is we're going to address that on the accessory work, but we're going to build stopping power, stability, and reversal power by stopping just 1/4 of an inch off the chest or 1/2 inch off the chest. Because most guys, what they'll do is they'll actually sink and the clavicle move unnaturally. I want to keep the clavicle so tight that it can't be stopped or it can't be moved. So whenever I get a heavy weight on the bar, I try to think of it as in a bench shirt. I get so tight that heavier weight has to work me down. Good. So one of the things that I'll be talking about later with you guys is my friend Swede calls it the mechanically similar movement. I call it a hierarchy of movement. So it's addressing how you bench or how you squat or how you deadlift and doing accessory work to complement that. There's no need to sit and do a tricep push down when that's not how your tricep moves in a bench press. I'm a big believer in lat pull downs, pull ups, because that's the way my lats move. They actually pull in that direction. And people think that sounds crazy that I'm reversing or I'm pulling the bar down, but I am. I'm controlling it and moving it at my speed. Then from there, on the chest, I reverse into the triceps and flare into the shoulders. So the way my mind works, I'm thinking a nice palms facing dumbbell, where I rotate out like this for the triceps, like an Arnold press or something like that for the triceps, and then a side raise for the shoulders, and then finally finishing with the pecs. For me, the way that I bench, the pecs are more of a finisher. They're not actually a power mover in the bench press. So at the end, we'll probably do some kind of fly or something to hit the pecs. But the way it works, you do the bench press as a competition movement, and those rep ranges throughout the course of a cycle are from 2 reps to 5 reps because it's your heavy movement. As a secondary movement, we'll do something like a close grip or a wide grip or a pause press, something like that. And that's going to fall between a 3 and a 6 rep. And then you get into your accessory work. Your lat movement is going to be 6 to 10. Your tricep movement is going to be 8 to 12. your shoulder movement's going to be 10 to 15, and your pecs are going to be something 10 to 20. And that's just because the more you do, the less you actually have to put weight on the bar, because you're just pushing blood through there at that point. The other idea is that if the lats are completely strong and they're doing their job, in the hierarchy of movement, they don't need as much work, so they move down the list. Even though they're the #1 mover, if you have a weakness or a deficiency, it gets top priority as far as the accessory work goes. So you always have to be conscious of how you move and how you feel relative to past weeks. But it's kind of a dangerous thing to say, but as a trainer or as an athlete myself, when I come into the gym, I never know what my accessories are, pre-planned. I just know that they will fall under the category of, it'll be some kind of a lat pull down or a row. I know that it'll be some kind of a palms facing movement, like a football bar or a Swiss bar, a palms facing dumbbell, or a side lateral raise, or a Lilly shrug for my side or my delts, and then finishing with some kind of fly movement for my pecs. But the order of those things will be determined by how I move the bar. And I think if you get into a pattern of just doing what you do because it's on paper, you're just selling yourself short. So you have to actually address what you're doing in the gym on each given day to get the feedback to do what you need to do as an accessory work. First working set, even though I'm going to change the way I'm doing it, I'm going to follow more of a platform type protocol, the way that I move the bar, but I'm still trying to move it as quickly as I can under control with a pause at the start, a pause on my chest, and a hold at the top in between every rep. I think that lends itself to a time under tension, which can be really, really beneficial, not only to the muscle, because what people forget or people misunderstand is the relative quickness that muscles get stronger and bigger in a way that they don't understand, that the ligaments and the tendons lag behind a little bit. Those things get, they only tend to grow or get bigger and stronger either with static tension, time under tension, or with a ton of repetition work. So by doing these little things, by adding microseconds to every single set, you're really doing yourself a lot of favor in the way of staying healthy. Even though it seems harder at the time, you might drop a few kilos back during your training cycle. If it pays off the platform and it pays off 6 months down the road or a year down the road, that's where you want to be. You always want to be thinking long term, not just short term. So short term backwards, long term forward, you're still ahead. Same thing, just slightly off the chest and pause, like everything is a start. Hold, hold. Anywhere from 3 to 6, whatever you feel like. Good. 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 What you see, she actually got faster every single rep. And what happens is, as it gets harder, as a defense mechanism, she's going to push harder. So that's one of the reasons that I really like stuff like that. The weight is light enough that the body can still protect itself. If we worked up to 80, 90, or even close to 100%, she would have slowed down every single rep. But this way, she's teaching herself that as she gets tired, she has to push more. So when you get heavier weight on your hands or on your back, you learn to push through the pain, you learn to push through the fatigue. That comes in handy on your third squat, your third bench, your third deadlift. When you're really fatigued, learning to push even when you're tired and even maybe push at a faster rate. That's what we're all going for.
And the muscles are just fire a little bit quicker. Say on this one as well, I can just feel the niggle in the shoulder. But it's still not to the point where it's detrimental.
Right.
But I can feel it's like, no, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But also know that I have to hold everything in much tighter to keep everything nice and stable. And I can feel myself stabilising more from the bottom end.
Right.
The first few couple maybe from the top were quite top heavy. And then as the reps went on, I definitely felt my abs tightening up more.
Yeah.
Driving a little bit.
That's the reason. That's the reason I really like stopping just off the chest, because when you stop on your chest, even if you don't intend to, you have this split second. It's kind of like your body relaxes. Even if you're all the way up, you'll watch. I've watched 1,000 lifts, even myself, and I train with a pause off the chest. But in a competition, there'll be just a split second where you kind of lag and you use your body as a resting point. That's why I suggested maybe to not use the boards, because a lot of guys will find the board and they'll actually bench to the board trying to relieve the weight in their hands and use the board as a prop to get more momentum. So if you're creating the tension to hold the weight and then having to recreate the momentum to move it forward, you're not only getting a static stretch or a static type strength, which a lot of times powerlifters don't get. Bodybuilders get it a lot, but powerlifters very, very seldom ever do anything statically. You get that aspect, but you also get the stretch reflex and the reversal power. Much, much more work is actually going into that set of 5 than a typical set where you touch your chest and keep going for a set of 5. 3 again.
I think you might need a little bit more than that.